Welcome back, brothers and sisters. This is day 29, and I'm Lewis Paris, a confidence coach and human performance advisor. And I'm here to help you feel seen. I'm here to help you feel unstuck. I'm here to help you live the life you envision and you dream of. What does it look like? What does it feel like? What does it smell like? What does it taste like? What does it touch like? Oi, listen, whatever you're thinking, it can be done. If you have a dream, if you have an idea, work through it. Don't work backwards and tell yourself you're not capable, because if you put the self-doubt in your mind, now you're adding a limitation blocking you from achieving what you want to achieve. So think positively, work through it, reflect, journal. What's the process? What's the steps? What do you need to do to become the person that you want to be? Who do you need to become? What does it look like? What's the routine? What's your life like? What's your nutritional habits? What's the mindset like? Who do you need to become? Be that person, and what you envision will come true. Day 29, you're becoming someone new. If you've been following this series, you're already changing. You might be feeling a little calmer, a little more aware, a little less reactive. All of that matters. Confidence doesn't happen all at once. It builds slowly through awareness, calm, and repetition. Story time. So I've set myself a challenge. If you're new here, I've set myself a challenge of posting every day for 30 days. We're on day 29. And I can't believe I'm one more day away of being able to post long form content consistently, bar one day, I guess, every day for 30 days, and cutting that up for short form content on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube Shorts. Also uploading the long form to Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, all major platforms where you can hear it through the audio version as well. So this is being spread out far and wide. And I think I'll talk more about the lessons I learned tomorrow for day 30, sorry. But today, I guess I want to speak more about becoming someone new. So I've reinvented myself many, many times. I was born in the 90s and I grew up, the world was a lot simpler then. And I grew up thinking I wanted to be a footballer. That was every boy's dream. I wanted to be like Roy Keane, like have the stature and the stance of Roy Keane in and out. I was a great defender, defensive midfielder. Then I went more centre mid, and then I became an attacking midfielder. So I developed in different roles. Ronaldinho was a huge inspiration for me as well. Cristiano Ronaldo. Cristiano Ronaldo was a huge influence as well. And my team was Manchester United. Hate me in the comments. A London boy supported Manchester United. Yes, glory hunter. Yes, my dad was a glory hunter. I followed his footsteps, and now I see the town is red, right? And we're rebuilding in 2026. Big up Carrick. But as I digress, I got injured and I sustained a major knee injury, so a ruptured ACL. So the ligament is gone. I've had two keyhole surgeries, mainly for meniscus and fragments of broken cartilage as well. They wanted to remove that. And then the third operation was the hamstring graft. So they took a part of my hamstring, put it into my knee, did some magical stuff. Now I've got a bionic leg. Call me the $7 million man, or the $6 million man, Steve Austin. And with that, it crippled me a little bit, because I was like, what do I do next? This is all I know. Football is all I know. I want to become a footballer. I've now got this injury. I've had the surgeries. What am I doing with my life? I remember sitting on the edge of my bed crying, right? And I kept this to myself for a long, long time. I was crying on the edge of my bed thinking, what is life? All I know is football. I want to play football. That's what's going to lead me in the direction. And I was doing really well, you know. I did have an opportunity to go semi-pro, Bournemouth, but I turned it down because it was like a 90-minute to 2-hour journey. And I was like 14, 15, and I was like, I ain't doing this. I'm not doing this. So yeah, I'm sitting at the edge of my bed thinking, with my broken knee, and I'm like, what do I do? I'm sitting there for like almost half an hour now, and I'm just crying. I'm like, what do I do? And I guess with time, I came to terms with it, and I was like, you know what? Life's still got to go on. I've now got to figure out what I want to do. What do I want to do? Who do I want to become? I've got to use my brain a little bit more. So I enjoy working with people. I enjoy helping people. I do enjoy sports, but the fitness realm didn't click in just then. Kind of in the transition period of the first time I got injured and I had the first surgery, that's when I dived more into music. So I was in the music industry. I was a DJ. I grew up a DJ. My dad was a DJ. So I learned through him through vinyl, rare groove, jungle, drum and bass, old school garage. He also played with DJ EZ. He knows CKP, the mayor. They used to do a lot of underground sets. So there's a lot of underground DJs that he's worked with that you all know today. But unfortunately, when my dad was playing out, he had a box of like exclusive dubs. And one, they got stolen when he went to his car to get something, came back, they were gone. And then they had a flood at his house and he put a lot of his records in black bags and his sisters thought it was rubbish and they threw it away. So that kind of crippled him and stopped his dream of pushing forward. I think he should have tried to push on a little bit more because there's a lot of talent there, but he said, welcome to the real world, and he left it there. So with me, I went to take it seriously. And I said to myself, let me get into this world more seriously. I partnered up with my best friend at the time, Nathan. At the time, he's still my best mate, Nathan. And then we became DJ Figs, Fisher and Biggs. So he was DJ Biggs, I was DJ Fisher. That's for another story. And yeah, we partnered up and we did bars, we did clubs, and we did house parties and events, right? And I was like, I'm going to take this a little bit more seriously. I'm going to dive in with all my might and all my heart. So I continued doing my own thing. We would do the odd event together, but I pushed on. So that's when I went and did my first season in Kos, the Greek island of Kos. And I spent 4 months there as a DJ, went there with I think I even brought my CDJs, which is mad. I brought my CDJs there, carried my case full of CDs, and I was going around DJing at bars, clubs, and I was mainly on the after party circuit. So I had a residencies for the after party, which was like 3 a.m. to 7 a.m. They gave this new guy the most crappiest shift, but the party still went on. And there was a good few nights for when the scene was busy, when the island got really busy, the after party was the lick. I was just mashing up the dance. So I did that 2013. Then I had my third surgery. So before then I had 2 surgeries. And then I came back for a second season, 2014. And then during that 2014 season, coming to the end of it, I was like, what am I going to do with my life? I've achieved these things as a DJ. I could have pushed more. I had my own internet radio station. I was doing more events and I picked up my skills. I thought to myself, I can produce music. I would love to get more into this world. And I just thought, you know what? It's not bringing in enough money. I was getting a little bit more in Kos at the time compared to coming in London. So unless I'm doing private events, house parties, then I could charge a little bit more. But again, you got to carry equipment. You got to have the speakers. You got to be ready on the weekends. And most of the events back then, especially up and coming, was on the weekend. You can kind of find some form of residency midweek, but that was a bit rare. It was more Thursday, Friday, Saturday were the major days, right? And there just wasn't enough work and they weren't really paying well. And I was still doing my 9 to 5. And I was like, I need to find something that is going to allow me to persevere, that's going to explore my talent a little bit more, which is going to ignite me, it's going to fuel me, it's going to motivate me, inspire me to continuously get up each morning and push through. And I said, you know what, fitness is a thing for me. So I went back on my diploma, which I studied at college. So I got a sports diploma. And I said, I'm going to go and become a personal trainer. I saw people in the gym and I was like, this PT's coaching this client like this. I know I can do better. So end of 2015, I started studying for my level 2 fitness instructor, which then leads to level 3. And the place I was studying at, so it was like a apprenticeship work placement sort of thing. You got to clock in and do a certain amount of hours to be able to have this as a grant, so to speak. They shut down. So I got an email saying, we're not opening up in 2016. And I was like, okay, I've literally left my warehouse job to go all in. And now a week later, I get an email saying you shut down. So I was scrambling and scraping, thinking, what am I going to do? And I came across this small group PT studio that literally was opening up January 2016. Startup, brand new. I wasn't going to be paid anything. It was just an internship, but it allowed me to say I'm doing hours at this gym. And I was like, you know what? I see what the future looks like. I'm going to dive in anyway. I'm going to get qualified. I'm going to become the best PT I can be. That was the main goal. And I just grabbed the bull by the horns and I I rode it, baby. I rode it. Yeah, I had a good old time. I was swinging my lasso. Yeah, so I got in there, front of house, receptionist, only getting paid lunch and travel. So it was like a 0 hours contract, but it was an internship. You know, I was like, my foot's in the door. I'm with the founder here and I'm with experienced PTs. It's the best of both worlds. I'm learning through experienced people and I'm also the founder's right-hand man. So what he's going through building this business, I would learn through him. I'll work alongside him. And it naturally progressed. Front of house manager, got qualified, started doing classes, started doing one-on-one clients, PT, and before you know it, he offered me the role of head of operations. So for about 2 years, roughly, I was head of operations, managing this studio with him. So I was managing all the staff, I was mentoring them, I was managing the PTs, I was doing all sorts. I was working behind the scenes, right? Operations of this studio. So much so, people thought it was my gym. Yeah. They said, is this your gym, Lou? I was like, boy, the guy's over there. Let's not cause anything political. And it got political, right? So I moved forward 2018 to David Lloyd, gym manager. I realized very quickly on this was the black sheep of the company. And I said, I'm not here for it. I'm not here for it. So I left there after about 4 months. And then I went to join a 5-star gym and spa residential gym as the general manager. So I was managing all the PTs and I was managing and operating the space. And that was cool. That was totally fine. I was suited and booted. I was like, okay, I'm in management. I'm going to build up my CV. This is the way to go. And then I quickly realized this ain't for me, mainly because there is no footfall. It's literally just the residents and the people I manage, the contractors. And I was like, I can't do this. I'm losing my brain here. I'm bored. I'm overqualified for this role. It's easy, piss easy. Yeah, I can manage these people. I can do this. It was cool, and I'm very grateful I had the opportunity to do it. I've created an ebook that allows you to transform your mindset and your body in 30 days. The main focus behind it is understanding and operating through the 4 principles. Understand yourself. You can't move forward without understanding yourself deeply. What's your current situation? What's your current blockages? What's your current weaknesses? What's your current triggers? And then we're going to move into optimizing your health. Because if you can't control your health, how do you expect to control and change your life? Understanding where you're at with sleep and recovery, your activity status, your nutrition, what are you consuming on a day-to-day basis, and your mindfulness. What's the state of your mindset? Once you can optimize this, then that then breeds the confidence to move forward in life. I feel in control. I feel that I can manage things, which means I can manage any situation. And then we're going to look at self-image, self-belief. So once you understand how you speak to yourself, the internal dialogue, what's your belief systems, then you know what is going to trigger you. Makes you more self-aware for you to communicate better, not only with other people, but with yourself. And then we're looking at the last principle, which is goals, action. What are the principles, the objectives, the steps, the process that we are going to follow for us to achieve the goals we envision? So this ebook will allow you to pause for self-reflection, be accountable for what you say and what you must do, and guide you along the path to limitless potential and abundance. So click the link in the description, drop Be Unstoppable in the comments, and I'll be able to send you a link. Be unstoppable, stay dangerous. So I've now got experience from the private sector and I've got experience from the commercial side. And I'm good with people. So I said, I can do this better. So I said, I'm going to do my own thing. I've already established Lewis Paris Fitness. It's not an established company, but I had to think of something to get on the books as a sole trader. Remember, I wasn't being paid. It was like contracted hours at this small group PT studio. And I get it. He was doing it for tax purposes and he was trying to watch his bottom line. So I wasn't employed, but I was contracted as that, right? Which is fine. So I already had this entity and I was like, how can I build on it? So I joined Fitness First as a freelance PT, and I said, I'm not a Fitness First personal trainer, but I am Lewis Paris Fitness in Fitness First. So I joined around end of September 2018, and I built up my client base, fully booked in 10 months. May 2019 is when I formed the company Lewis Paris Fitness. And the ultimate goal then was I want to build my own studio. That was the goal. I was like, okay, I need to form this company. I need to start showing the numbers. So I was an upstanding citizen since 2019, paying all my taxes, and taxes no joke in the UK. And then on top of that, as a business owner and as a PT, man, the rates are ridiculous. So you got to pay PT rent. For me to train someone in the gym, I have to pay for that hour. Then I've also got to pay my own rent just to live. Then I've got corporation tax. And then when you get established and more established, you got to pay VAT, income tax, self-assessment tax. So it's just a whole heap of tax. That's why there's a lot of gripe with entrepreneurs in the UK regarding tax, because it's like, where does my money go? It's a big battle I'm always facing. I'm like, I don't get it. And it's crippling. And they just look at you like, yeah, you owe me my money, mate. They don't care, just give me my money. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, I'm just trying to live, you know? So from there, I grew the business, and it was fun, it was cool, you know? And I'm here, Red Bull UK. I've been training the employees here since end of 2018. So starting January 2019. So I did my first class 18 just before Christmas, and then started fully into it January 2019. This is the 7th year, so it's coming up to 8 years now, which is mental to me, right? So 8 years training the employees of Red Bull UK. And that was my first major corporate role, doing that. I've also done talks here, I've done workshops here, alongside other companies as well. I've done talks, workshops, I've done retreats, I've done team days, I've done loads of fitness classes. I've even hosted a podcast. I mean, I did something about Who is Lewis Paris here in their podcast studio here upstairs, which I don't think is really operational, which was way back when. And then I did a joint podcast with Kev Performance, behind the scenes as a personal trainer. So behind the scenes, BTS of a personal trainer, I believe. Type Lewis Paris in Spotify, Amazon Music, you'll find it, Apple Podcasts, whatever. Small group PT. And yeah, so from Fitness First, I went to a private gym, and then I went there to a private gym, went full-time there and was training my clients there. Was also doing small group PT classes there. And everything was cushy. And then COVID hit 2020. We all went online, figuring out what to do. I was doing live classes on Instagram. I was doing paid ones on Zoom. And from there, just kept going. That's when I started doing work with Red Bull Racing. So I was starting off as just a PT, online PT for the guys that had injuries. We overcame that. I built up a workout plan. I was doing one-to-one stuff. I did a group module for them. I did videos, recorded videos for them, so they can log in and do these rehab stuff and mobility things, activation work, or to keep them mobile and prepared for their profession, which was racing. I did some partner work with them. So we did like a series for Bybit. So that was Red Bull Racing and Bybit. And I've featured in loads of publications. I've been on ITV News. I've been in Red Bulletin twice, maybe 3 times now. I've done documentaries with Red Bull Racing. I've won personal training awards. I've taken the company to 6 figures within 2 to 3 years of trading, I believe. And I've also featured in a book as a longevity strategist, which was last year. And I became a hologram on the AI Mirror, which was last year as well. And yeah, I've done loads of stuff. So the thing I'm getting at, and I'm sorry it took the long-winded route, was you're becoming someone new. And when it feels difficult and it feels unattainable, that's where you dig deep. That's where things feel unfamiliar, and that's where you've got to push hard, because ultimately you want to be able to push through. You can't go without trying. And unless you try, it's not going to work. Okay? So whenever it feels like you have resistance, that is where growth happens. Okay? Resistance is not the cue to stop. Resistance means it's something new and you're growing into it. And for you to get to where you need to get to, you have to become, you have to learn through trials and tribulations. And it wasn't all smooth sailing going through these different stages of my life, the different seasons, right? I still had a life to live. I had a girlfriend at the time. We moved out, bought a house together. She had a son as well, so I was a stepfather. which I don't recommend for anyone unless you have kids and you come in with someone else who has kids, fine, do it. But I don't recommend someone who has no kids to get with someone who has kids. That's my forte. Let's not go into it just yet. That's another thing as well, which also sparked the vitiligo thing as well, chronic stress and all of that. There's going to be ups and downs. You can't have the highs without the lows. They go hand in hand. So when it comes to change, embrace it. Don't feel overwhelmed. Don't tell yourself you can't do it. Just ground yourself. Manage your mindset. Be mindful. Be self-aware. Okay? And try and remain present, because when you're present, you're not thinking too far ahead. You're just like, what do I need to do now to ensure that I'm working and building and heading towards the ultimate goal, the big vision? Okay? So don't sit back and say, oh, I can't do this. This is too difficult. They make it look so easy. But remember, everyone started from somewhere. And because you're seeing them now, the polished version, doesn't mean they wasn't imperfect before. They had to try, they had to test. And that's what I'm learning with this whole 30-day stuff, right? I've been on camera before, I've done it. I'm charismatic, I could do it all day. But to be able to talk for 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes for YouTube specifically, and to make sense and to keep an audience engaged, it's a skill set. And we have to learn that. Some people are going to log on and say, you know what? Awesome. And some people are going to say, I don't resonate. Fine. This is how you find your people. So you can't take the good without the bad. Push through, write down what you need to do, recenter yourself and say, I'm capable, I'm worthy, I belong, and push through it forward. Keep your head held high. Be your biggest cheerleader. Don't expect people to be like, oh, this is awesome, this is great, blah, 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 blah. Some people get that and that feels nice, but don't always rely on it. Just say, I'm capable, I'm worthy, I can do it. Here we go, push through, and then watch people cheer you along, baby. Have a good time and say, this is what I achieved. I look back and say, yo. Sometimes I pinch myself and say, yo, I'm in Red Bull right now. How many times are you going to have the opportunity or see someone do this? They have influencers now, which was only like a year old or maybe 2 years old, but there wasn't really influencers. It was athletes for Red Bull. And I've been doing this for 8 years and now I'm actually utilizing this icon. Here we are, you know, and to be a human performance advisor for Red Bull Racing, that's a big thing. I've won multiple awards. I've been in books. I'm currently working on one now as well. So I'm reinventing. Okay. So warehouse. Yeah. Doing these jobs. Yeah, working in Wembley Arena, selling merchandise, you know, and then doing the DJ stuff. Coming back and saying, no, I want to live with purpose. Going into fitness, health and fitness, a whole different realm. Something I was quite familiar with. Yes, I'm good with sports. I'm quite athletic. I'm good with people. Cool, it's a match made in heaven. Let's push. I'm capable. I'll sacrifice my weekends to get my studying done because I know what I'm heading towards. And then you just grow and develop. Freelance PT, director, and then longevity strategist, human performance advisor. And now, life coach, self-mastery, confidence, mainly for men and also for high-achieving women, all right? So my message mainly resonates with men who feel stuck, who feel unseen, who don't feel capable, who don't know which way or what path to take to move forward. I'm here for you. Do you know what I'm saying? So this is where I'm at, and it comes from the experience, what I've been through. So I can say, I've done that, I understand it, or I can resonate with you. I understand what you're saying. Now let's move forward to where you want to go. You're becoming someone new. Don't be afraid. Lean into it. Find your passions and stay strong. Keep your head up. So today's action. Take a moment today to notice your progress. You're becoming someone more confident. Comment day 29 if you've stayed this far with me. If you feel as though you want to work on a deeper level to allow you to understand where you're at and where you need to head to, then book a one-on-one call with me, completely confidential, no judgment, just direction. If you want to get started on your own, then download the 7-Day Reset, a free downloadable guidebook that I've created, which will allow you to find where you're at now, recenter yourself and move forward in the direction you want to head to. But if you want to go on a deeper level, book a call with me. If you want to be able to transform your life in 30 days, let's get the self-mastery framework. Become unstoppable, stay dangerous. Click the link in my bio in the description and you can find more details there. We work along the 4 principles of change. Who are you? Your current situation, your current health state. How can we build upon that to ensure that you can control your health, your body, your mind, your spirit. Understanding where you're at in regards to what's your blockages, what's the triggers, and what's your belief systems. Yeah, self-image, self-talk. And then we look at goals. How can we put the actions in place to ensure you achieve the goals you want to achieve? And if you want to work with us in a community where we hold each other to a high regard, we see where we're at, we learn from our experiences, and we move forward with intent, join the brotherhood. So all the details are in the description, it's in the bio, or head to lewisparis.co.uk and you can learn more. All right, so thank you for following me this far. Comment day 29 your thoughts in regards to how you've been getting on in this journey. I'd love to learn more, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow.